Okay, here's my video on hyperbola. There are a lot of new terms to define. So my hyperbola is, let's see, the shape of hyperbola is basically a pair of parabolas facing opposite way. So in this case, hyperbola shape, the graph of the hyperbola is actually the green graph right here. Okay, and in terms of the points that are important, well, here is the center of the hyperbola between the two vertices. Here's a vertex 1. So what's happening? First vertex, V1, second vertex, V2. They're equal distance apart from the center. And then the foci are actually inside the curves, if you will, just like the parabolas. So here's the focus, and here's the second focus. So this is kind of the opposite of the ellipse, where the vertices were sort of the outside and the foci were the inside. Here, the vertices are sort of the shorter length, it's closer to the center, and the foci are farther away from the center. Okay, so that makes our distance definitions, the definitions are the same, but our longest side now is the distance between the center and the foci, not the center from center to vertex. So the ABC distance that we defined in the ellipse are still defined the same, except the longest side will be different. So A is still the distance between the center and the vertex. So in this case, that's the shorter of the short distance on the inside. C is the distance between the center and the focus. So here, C is longer. B, well, for now, we don't have that point. It has a meaning, and we need to find B to define the equation of this hyperbola, but we don't have anything crossing that axis yet. It'll be more meaningful on the second day of this lesson when we look for these, what we call asymptotes, okay? So A is the distance between center and vertex. C is the distance between center and the foci, which are the longest. So my Pythagorean relationship between A, B, and C are now slightly different. The longest side is C, so that's C squared. It's the hypotenuse, is equal to A squared plus B squared. And this is how we're going to look for any one of the unknowns in the hyperbola. Okay, so let's see. A couple of other vocab before we cut off here is we have the transverse axis, and this is the axis that has the vertex and the center and the foci, all the 3 points. And in this case, the transverse axis is horizontal, so the hyperbola will actually cross the x-axis or the horizontal axis. And the other axis, the vertical axis in this case, is called the conjugate axis. It's just, it's what is not the transverse axis. Okay, so how are we doing on time? I think I'm going to cut off and start the next video.